Hey guys, today let's hear the saga of three princesses. Let us first hear the story of Princess Snowwhite. Long ago, in a glimmering kingdom surrounded by forests, the queen wished for a child with skin as fair as snow, lips as red as berries, and hair as black as the night sky. One winter's evening, under falling snowflakes, baby Snow White was born. Tragedy struck when the gentle queen passed away and the king remarried a beautiful but a bad woman with a cold heart. She owned a magic mirror that whispered the truth always. Every day, the queen asked her mirror, "Who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror always replied, "You, my queen." But one morning it answered, "Snow White is now the fairest." Jealousy filled the queen's heart. She summoned a huntsman to take Snow White deep into the forest and never let her return. But the huntsman, moved by the girl's innocence, let her go. Snow White ran through the forest, scared but determined. Trees whispered with kindness. Fireflies lit her path, and animals peered from behind ferns. Deep in the woods, she discovered a tiny, whimsical cottage with carved doors and flower-filled windows. Tired, she curled up and slept peacefully. In the morning, forest animals helped Snow White clean the dusty cottage. Birds sang, and squirrels danced with flower petals. 7 kind-hearted dwarfs, each with a unique personality, brave, cheer, mellow, scribble, tinker, shy, and giggles, returned from the mines and found Snow White. Snow White explained her story. The dwarfs were touched and invited her to stay. She brought joy, stories, and music to their lives. Each day was full of laughter, baking berry pies, learning songs, painting tree stumps, and watching stars together. Far away, the queen again asked the mirror, "Who is the fairest?" The mirror replied, "Snow White, living with 7 friends in the forest of light." Determined to destroy Snow White, the queen brewed a potion and transformed into an old peddler woman. The queen crafted a shiny red apple, half sweet, half cursed. One bite would send Snow White into a sleep as deep as winter. One sunny day, the queen, now disguised, knocked on the cottage door offering the apple. Snow White, unsuspecting, took a bite. The curse worked. Snow White dropped to the floor, silent, her eyes closed as if peacefully dreaming. The dwarfs came home and found her. Heartbroken, they built her a crystal bed in the forest where flowers bloom year-round. Days turned into seasons. Birds still sang to her, and the forest never let her feel alone. Magic kept her peaceful. One day, a young prince lost in the forest followed the music of birds and found the sleeping maiden. The prince knelt beside her and whispered, "I wish for you to wake and bring light back to the world." A single tear fell on her hand. With a breath as soft as the wind, Snow White stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, and the forest rejoiced. The forest came alive with celebration. Ribbons in trees, animal choirs, sparkling lanterns in the air. The prince invited Snow White to return with him to his kingdom. The dwarves gave her their blessings with teary eyes and group hugs. Snow White was crowned Queen of Hearts, a queen who would rule with love, laughter, and courage. The wicked queen, hearing of Snow White's return, fled to the mountains and was never seen again. Her mirror cracked on its own. Snow White built a garden where everyone, rich or poor, young or old, could come to rest, laugh, and dream. Snow White promised to always listen to her people and protect the magic of the forest that once saved her. At night, she told stories to children about dwarfs, enchanted apples, and the magic of kindness. And so, the kingdom thrived under a queen who once slept in the forest of light, loved by all. Kindness is the fairest magic of all. Hope you like the story. Let's hear the tale of bravery of Princess Mulan. In the peaceful valley of Pinghua, where cherry blossoms danced with the wind and whispers filled the air, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Mulan. She wasn't a typical princess. She preferred climbing trees over sewing silks and listening to the wind instead of gossiping in gardens. At night, Mulan often sat by her lantern and whispered her dreams to the stars. She longed to protect her family, just like the brave heroes from the old scrolls her grandmother told stories from. One morning, a messenger rode through the village. The emperor had called every family to send one male to the army. Mulan's heart froze. Her father was too old and sick to go, but he was their only male. That night, Mulan stood by her father's sword. Her heart beat like thunder. If I don't go, he will. And if he goes... She couldn't finish the thought. Quietly, she made her choice. With the moon high above, Mulan cut her hair, wore her father's armor, and left a note. She kissed her sleeping parents' foreheads and disappeared into the mist. Mulan arrived at the army camp as Ping. She was nervous, but kept her head high. The other soldiers laughed at her clumsy ways, not knowing the strength hidden in her heart. One kind soldier named Hao noticed her effort. "You've got spirit," he smiled. Slowly, Mulan gained friends, strength, and confidence. Their final training test was to climb the Whispering Mountain carrying full armor. Many fell behind, but Mulan pushed on, thinking of her father's smile. When Mulan reached the top, the general raised an eyebrow. "You're the first." Mulan bowed, hiding her tears. War broke out in the north. Mulan and her battalion were sent to defend a snowy mountain pass. The sky turned white, and so did the earth. The enemy was too strong. Mulan spotted avalanche rocks above. "We can use them," she said softly. The commander hesitated, but nodded. Mulan raced up the hill, arrows flying past. With one strike, she lit a fuse, and the mountain roared. The enemy was buried. Mulan collapsed, wounded. In camp, the doctor discovered the truth. Ping was a girl. The commander was silent. Many turned away. But Hao knelt beside her. "You saved us all," he said. A message arrived. The capital was under attack. No one could reach it in time. But Mulan stepped forward. "We can." Mulan led her group to the capital. The sky was ash gray. People ran through the streets. The emperor's tower burned in the distance. Mulan disguised herself and slipped inside the palace walls. The enemy general was there, boasting in front of the emperor. With a surprise attack, Mulan took down the general. The emperor stood silent. Then he bowed to her. "You are the bravest of them all." The city cheered. Flowers rained from balconies. Children shouted, "Hooray for Mulan!" She smiled shyly. Mulan returned to her village. Her parents ran to her with open arms. "You are our greatest gift," they cried. The emperor sent a scroll of honor, and her family placed it beside their ancestors. "Your spirit lives in every blossom," her father whispered. During the Lantern Festival, Mulan lit a lantern not for war, but for peace. "Let every girl know she can shine," she whispered. Years later, Mulan trained young girls in a secret garden. She taught them to listen to their hearts, to be brave and kind. Sometimes the wind carried stories of her courage to distant lands. They called her the Princess of Petals. On starry nights, children said, "That bright star, that's Mulan. She watches over the brave." And so, little one, remember this. True courage isn't loud. It's quiet, like Mulan. It speaks with kindness and acts with love. Hope you like the story. Let's end this saga with the story of Princess Cinderella and the Glass Garden. In a little cottage hidden among blooming cherry trees lived a kind girl named Cinderella. Her voice was as gentle as the morning breeze, and her dreams sparkled like dew on the leaves. Every morning, birds gathered near her window to sing. They adored her kindness, and she often sang with them while tending the garden. Far beyond the trees stood the town's old clock tower. Each chime reminded Cinderella that time was passing, but her dreams never faded. Her peaceful world changed when her father remarried. Lady Corvina, her new stepmother, arrived with two daughters who cared for nothing but mirrors and gowns. When her father passed, laughter left the cottage. Corvina turned Cinderella into a servant. But Cinderella never complained. She found beauty in small things. Each night, after chores, Cinderella tiptoed into the forest to dream under starlight. She whispered wishes to the flowers. One day, a royal messenger arrived, an invitation to a grand ball. The prince was searching for someone with a kind and noble heart. The stepsisters shrieked with excitement. They demanded new gowns and glittering accessories. Cinderella offered to help. "May I go too?" Cinderella asked quietly. Corvina laughed coldly. "A maid at a ball? You belong in the ashes." Cinderella found her mother's old gown and began to mend it. The birds and mice helped, sewing stars into the fabric. Just before the ball, the stepsisters tore her dress apart. "You'll never be more than a shadow," Corvina whispered. And the silence of her sorrow, a glowing crystal flower bloomed in the garden. From its light emerged a kind, twinkling woman, her fairy godmother. With a gentle touch and a kind smile, the fairy godmother turned a pumpkin into a grand carriage and mice into regal horses. The fairy waved her wand, and Cinderella's rags became a gown of flowing starlight. Her shoes shimmered like glass kissed by moonlight. "But remember," said the fairy godmother, "the magic fades at midnight." Cinderella rode through glowing forests and moonlit rivers. Even the stars seemed to cheer her on. Cinderella stepped out of the carriage, her heart fluttering. The palace was glowing like a star, with fountains singing and music in the air. Inside the ballroom, the prince turned as if he felt a melody only he could hear, and saw Cinderella. Everyone fell silent. They danced under chandeliers of crystal and moonbeams. It felt like time had paused, just for them. Cinderella spoke of stars, kindness, and flowers that bloomed in secret. The prince listened like every word was a treasure. From behind their jeweled fans, the stepsisters stared in disbelief. "Who is she?" they whispered. The prince led Cinderella into a secret palace garden, where the flowers hummed and glowed. Dong! The clock tower struck once. Cinderella's eyes widened. Midnight. She ran down the palace steps, her gown trailing light, one glass slipper slipping from her foot. As the last chime rang, her carriage turned back into a pumpkin and the horses into mice. She was left in her old clothes, but one thing remained, her glass slipper, resting like a star on the palace steps. The prince vowed, "I will find her no matter where she hides. I will follow the stars to her heart." From villages to valleys he searched, but none fit the slipper. Not nobles, not princesses, not anyone. At the cottage, Corvina locked Cinderella in the attic. "You will never leave this house again," she hissed. The prince reached the last house in the forest. The stepsisters pushed forward, each trying to force on the slipper. Then they heard a quiet voice. "May I try, Your Highness?" The slipper slid onto her foot like moonlight slipping into water. The fairy godmother reappeared, and this time she didn't need a wand. Cinderella's heart had created its own magic. They married in the palace garden under a sky of floating lanterns. The whole kingdom rejoiced. The prince gave Cinderella her own garden, a glass garden where flowers bloomed from kindness and joy. The birds returned to sing for her. The mice danced in golden fields. Peace had come to her world. Lady Corvina watched from afar, her bitterness melting into quiet sorrow. She realized love cannot be locked away. The glass slipper was placed in the palace tower, not as a trophy, but as a symbol of hope and heart. And so, Cinderella lived with grace, laughter, and dreams. She never needed magic again because she had become the magic herself. And whenever you feel lost or unseen, remember, even in ashes, dreams can bloom. Just believe, and the stars will find you. Hope you like the story. See you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more magical stories.